there's so many people out there that want to teach. And so many people out there want to become parents. And yet, nobody seems to know anything. So, if we're looking around at our issues and problems, and no one really knows anything, I think we have to look at how our authority figures are interacting with us and break down some of these concepts and challenge some of the things that we're being taught. Authority figures should be questioned. Why? Well, before I go through all this, I just want to say that, I feel like anyone teaching anything for any reason to anybody should be questioned. Because if someone questions a teacher, if the teacher doesn't know the answer, it allows them to recognize a hole or an abscess in what they are trying to present, and can give them further opportunity to further their own education and refine how they introduce concepts to other people. In addition, parents, acting as stewards of children, should take some responsibility of knowing some things themselves so that they can pass on their knowledge to their children. I mean, really, think about it, right? Like, theoretically, a child should benefit from the life experience and the knowledge and wisdom of the earth parents. I mean, really, same thing for a teacher or any kind of authority figure, but rarely do we treat it like that. So let's go through some of these things, and then I'm going to come back around and highlight some personal examples of myself where I feel that to highlight these examples of why they're important. Okay, so first off, and again, this can apply to parents and teachers, but it really can apply to any authority figure. Okay, so keep that in mind, because we're talking about principles here. And really, like in every video, we're talking about principles. And even if I share a personal anecdote, I'm doing so to highlight the principle so that you can take that information about the principle and apply it to your own life. Actually, this is one of my problems with conventional therapy. If you've ever been to conventional therapy and seen a psychologist or a psychiatrist, very rarely will they tell you personal anecdotes about themselves. They're actually encouraged not to do that. And I understand that there are reasons why that is, but to me it highlights the chasm between the person who is attempting to learn something and the person who is attempting to highlight something to them. If we're talking about principles, using anecdotes helps so that it can help, so that the person who is learning can take that example and apply it to their own life. Okay, so first off, does the lesson or action hold up under scrutiny? And if not, whose fault is it? Authority is built through having truthful and honest interactions. The minimization and justification stifles a child's passion to learn. And children are often more emotionally intelligent and aware than parents and teachers. What do I mean by all this? Let's go back. Does a lesson or action hold up under scrutiny? And if not, whose fault is it? Okay? Well, let's talk about our current crisis with the virus. Everyone is saying wear masks and socially distance. Okay. This message is coming from literally everywhere, all the time. It's coming from the government. It's coming from media. It's coming from businesses. When you walk into a business, it's plastered right there. It's coming from other people promoting this idea. And it's coming from peer pressure. Now, why? Why do we need to wear masks and socially distance? Okay. Well, we're told that it's because that we are being considerate of the health and safety of others. Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good, but let's see if it holds up under scrutiny. Okay. If we were really concerned about the health and safety of others, why wouldn't we be talking about our poisoned water? Or our polluted air? Or that we spray nerve gas on our food? Why is it that no one is talking about the immune system, which is part of the human structure? That we have mechanisms built into us that cleanse and heal ourselves. There are ways to boost the immune system. There are many ways. And I'm not going to get into all of the metaphysical or physical ways to do that, but through doing the emotional work, guess what? You boost your immune system. Okay, so the lesson or action in this particular case is wear your mask for the health and safety of yourself and others. Does that hold up under scrutiny? No, it does not. Whose fault is it? Well, there's a lot of fault to go around in this particular example, right? Because first of all, there's someone telling us to do something. So in that sense, the government's at fault. In another sense, everyone who complies is also at fault. What about the people? Well, if you are not treating your body well, and you are living out of harmony with the Creator's view of love, and you have physical dis-ease, you are also at fault. Because you are expecting, again, expectations. You're expecting that other people care for you. And why would anyone expect that we care for each other when we don't care for each other in any other area of life? If we really cared for each other, we would be telling each other the truth, that germ theory is not true, and that we contract physical disease via our emotional state. And that if we heal our emotions, we will not be susceptible to contracting a virus. How about this one? Authority is built through having truthful and honest interactions. I'll use myself as an example. Earlier in the summer, I had built a retaining wall out in my front yard in order to hold organic material, to build a microbiome, to create organic topsoil so I can plant fruit trees and stuff. Well, the wall made of block was pretty ugly, gray, and dismal. And as you can see, I like to live in a bright and colorful world, okay? So I started painting a mural on the wall. And some young humans who were not attending school at the time because of the virus outbreak came up to me and expressed an interest in helping me. But they had never learned how to paint before. They'd never done it. So rather than deciding what colors they want and mixing them for them, we talked about the color wheel and how through using 3 colors, you can make almost every other color. And then if you add in white and black, you can literally make every color. So from 5 colors comes every color. That's pretty cool. So for the young humans that were helping me, if they had a particular color that was not available to them, by understanding the principles and concepts of how color theory works, empowers them to create and manifest their own passions and desires based upon their own individuality. Turns out one of the young humans who was helping me had so much fun painting for the first time that night she told her mom that she wanted to get paints and brushes and canvases so that she could paint more in her own house on her own time, expressing her own passions and desires. Like, to me, that is awesome. And she feels empowered because she's got useful information that helps her create. How about the next one? The minimization and justification stifles a person's desire to learn. Children are inherently curious. They want to know how things work. And we should be applauding that and encouraging that behavior. Like we need more people asking questions here, right? Like, we've got a lot of problems. And if young people are going to start asking questions about stuff and older authority figures stifle them, it will shut them down. And they will no longer ask questions. Also, about this minimization and justification, I'm going to share a quick example with my own life. So, I haven't created a video yet where I've talked about myself in great detail, but I will in the future. Well, part of my spiritual journey was I began learning a form of shamanism from a woman who lives near me. She had learned her tradition from a tribe in Peru. And as I'm learning from her, I feel the desire to question certain aspects of her behavior that she is demonstrating to me. So, for example, one thing is she would have a skull and crossbones front license plate on her car, and she had a skull and crossbones flag hanging from her house. And so I questioned her about this, and I said, "Hey, what's up with the projection of the skull and crossbones?" And her response to me was, "Oh, I live by the beach and I'm just a pirate, and it's all part of the beachy thing." Okay? Minimization. Well, what do pirates stand for? Pirates stand for looting, pillaging, raping, and killing. That's what pirates stand for. So is that what you're saying? Is that the image that you want to project to other people? That you're a thief and a pillager and a rapist and a murderer? Maybe this isn't the person that I should be learning spiritual truths from. Another instance where we'll talk about justification is when I was invited to a Christmas party for other students and the teacher in this same shaman group. Okay? And when I arrived at the party, our teacher was drinking alcohol and consuming animal products. Now, I asked her about this. Like, "Hey, what's up with drinking poison and eating animal carcass?" "Oh, it's not a big deal, like everyone does their own thing, it's totally cool. It's the holidays, this is high quality stuff. Fancy cheese, or like a particular cut of steak. I call it animal carcass because that's the truth." Well, that's a justification for not diving into your own behavior and taking responsibility for what are non-loving actions. So, like in that situation, my desire to learn from her was stifled. Now, she doesn't have to be of high spiritual quality or a loving person. That's an expectation that I put on her. Now, because I signed up to take her class, I took it as law of attraction. It's my law of attraction to get me to recognize these truths, right? That like authority figures should be questioned. And then eventually, when I found a teacher who allowed questions, you start to realize, oh, you know what? This person is more authentic. This person is more humble. This person has a much more desire to help others. Okay? Children are often more emotionally intelligent and aware than parents and teachers. Now, I'll give you another example here. A woman I know who was in the early stages of divorcing her husband was looking for an apartment. And she did not tell her husband that she was looking for an apartment. She was getting herself and she was making accommodations for herself so that she could leave without really a confrontation. Now, she has a small child, and the child was, I believe, or maybe around 2 or 3 at the time, okay? Well, she told me a story where her and her, at the time, husband and her small child were sitting in the room together, and her son said, "I would like to go live in mommy's new home." And you can imagine how shocked she was when she heard that. What do you think her reaction was? Do you think that she said, "You know what, you're absolutely right. I am getting ready to move into a new home because I'm going to divorce your father"? Or did she lie to her son and act like her son was crazy? She lied to her son and acted like he was crazy. Now, emotionally speaking, in that moment, that young child is more emotionally aware and more emotionally intelligent than this woman is. Rather than celebrate that and have that grow, she did not want to confront her own emotions, that she's in a non-loving marriage and she had not told her husband how she feels and that she wanted to leave. So she lied to her son in an attempt to preserve her own lies. That stifles a child's ability to trust their own emotional intelligence. See, this is where we shut children down, because we don't want to feel uncomfortable when they point out the truth to us. Imagine a situation where no one did that. We would be telepathic. We could feel each other and just know. But that's not what we do. We lie. We lie all the time. We lie to ourselves and everyone else. All right. So I've already talked about some examples, but let's talk about some other examples too, right? How about teachers teaching material they don't know from a book? Why are you teaching something you don't know? Is it because you're being forced to teach it? Well, if you're being forced to teach it, maybe you should learn it first. And you should question your authority figure on why you're being forced to teach a certain thing. Or maybe recognize that you're just participating in furthering the Rothschild's view of public education. Or if you're in a religious school, maybe you're passing on some erroneous spiritual beliefs that you yourself don't understand, and yet you are passing on to young humans. How about when parents say, "Because I said so"? Because I said so. This is a really weak phrase. It's weak. Let's say you're out with your small child and they see something they would like you to purchase for them. "Mommy, I want this. Can I have it?" "No." "Why?" "Because I said so." It's easier to say "because I said so" than saying "I don't have enough money for it." Because then maybe you have to have a conversation about money and what money is and how people are compensated around this place. And why don't you have enough money for something? And is that embarrassing for you? Because if it is, maybe you should feel that out. Own that emotion and feel that out. Maybe this is an excellent opportunity to teach your children about how fiat currency works in this place. About how this place is built on scarcity principles rather than abundance principles. About how every decision every person makes just about in this place has to do with acquiring more paper dollars. Let's take a different example with the same phrase. How about clean your room? Why? Because I said so. Well, there are legitimate reasons why a person should clean their room, right? Like, let's say let's say you tell your child, if you want your child to clean their room, this would be an excellent opportunity to teach them that when they physically move matter around their room and put it away in an organized fashion, it actually helps them feel better spiritually and emotionally. That would be a reasonable explanation why a child should clean their room. You could also say, well, hey, we're building habits here, okay? Because when you're an adult, you've got to develop habits where sometimes you need to do things to maintain that aren't always fun. Okay? Well, in my personal case, I have an example. When I was growing up in my room, I loved action figures. I had so many action figures, and you can call them dolls, whatever you want. I had little figurines. Okay, and I would set up scenes all over my room. Like the different action figures or staging battles or, adventures or whatever else, okay? Well, sometimes it would take like hours to set all this stuff up. If I had to clean my room every day, it would be a total waste of time for all that setup, right? Maybe I like having some scenes around, but I don't want to mess with them every day, and I like to do other things on different days. So I've got a lot of different activities going on at one time. So, do I still need to clean my room? Is it because you demand that I clean it because you want to be in control of a situation? Do you even go in the room? If you don't go in the room, what do you care if it's clean or not? So, these are some things to think through here. Authority figures should be questioned. And if they can't come up with reasonable, appropriate responses, then maybe they shouldn't be in authority. Love and peace, my friends.